Most marketing strategists will tell you AI is changing everything. But if you're a CMO right now, what you actually need is someone who can tell you what to do about it on Monday morning and not just what it means. And right now, with AI closing the gap between what once required an entire engineering team and what a single marketer can do on their own, the strategists worth listening to aren't the ones with the boldest predictions. They're the ones who've already built it. Today, I'm joined by Jill Hartling, VP of Strategy at Merkle. She brings a background that started in IT, designing network topology and managing databases before moving into marketing strategy, giving her a unique vantage point on what's actually possible with AI that most advisors simply don't have. We talk about how AI is solving one of the most underrated problems in large organizations, the institutional knowledge that lives in inboxes and nowhere else, why experimentation is the philosophy worth committing to right now, and what this looks like inside a real team. What Jill thinks most marketing leaders are still underestimating about where this is all heading. I'm Breanna Lawlor, and this is the CMO Club podcast. Jill, thank you so much for sitting down with me at the CMO Club. I would love you to first start off with who you are, the role that you hold, and also the company that you work within, and then we'll get into it.
My name's Jill Hartling. I work at Merkle. My role is a VP of strategy or VP of marketing strategy at Merkle. Our team is in charge of leading our clients on transformation and making great choices about their messaging. So this comprises many different things, and in our particular team, in this role that we play, can really branch out into all stages of the customer life cycle.
Absolutely.
So it starts, for the most part, with the data, but it branches out to all things. Historically, we did a lot of work around email and messaging systems like push notification and SMS, et cetera. But now it seems that everything, because of the deep connectivity and capabilities of platforms, is integrated. And so we are advising across the board. And that also seeps into the ways of working and the organizational components as well.
Now, have you always been in this space of marketing strategy, or do you have some background that you lean on as far as how it's helping you to navigate what you're doing now?
Well, I started my career in IT for many years. So I did IT topology design, which was kind of more hands-on, understanding how networks connected. But then I also did traditional IT network support and had to really know my way around a database and understand how data is normalized, what unification actually means from an executional perspective, and working with the different queries and nuance of managing data. That particular piece of my background has really informed what I do today because I have working knowledge of how it works under the hood.
Yes.
And that helps for me to speak intelligently to what is truly possible. But I find myself in a quite exciting time now where what is possible seems to be expanding exponentially.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not always like a blanket approach of what's possible should be what's done. And that's where the strategy component comes into it too.
Very much so. It's a possibility, a conversation around what is it you're trying to achieve, and then what are all the many different myriad ways that we can get there. And then that, like I said, is expanding now at a pace that is exciting because there are capabilities with AI that were not even possible, but also just not something that we could envision. And it's coalescing, I feel, around us into these user-level possible outcomes where even our lay people are capable of doing things that at one point would have required a team of engineers.
Which is wild. Like the pace at which things have moved it's mind-blowing.
It's really fun,
So it must be really exciting then to come to Iterable's Activate Summit and connect with peers and also have varying degrees of challenges that you're sharing. Is there anything that's come up in conversation so far with people that you've connected with where you're like, oh yeah, we've already been here and dealt with that. Here's how we navigated it, or anything that's been surprising so far?
It's so interesting for me to see so many people coming together to talk about these types of things. And there is a lot of topical breakout sessions that are specific to CRM, which is really where my wheelhouse lies. And I am very much excited and interested to see what my peers are doing in the CRM space, but also to offer some guidance, because I think my experience with this, my experience in using data to drive customer experiences, but also utilizing technology and the way that technology is evolving to push that even further, puts me in a unique place where I can speak to it pretty fluently. But as far as the conversations happening today, at this point, I'm really just very much looking forward to joining some of them.
What do you hope to come away with?
Well, I will say this. I spent a lot of my career on the client side, and I'm now on the agency side. And so I remember always feeling that I was sort of the single one of my kind. It was sort of like feeling unicornish in an environment or in an organization, because usually there wasn't more than one of me there. In an agency, I am surrounded by others that can do some and much of what I do. But at an environment like this one, I am suddenly surrounded by all this wonderful, this wonderful grouping of people who are at all levels doing all kinds of work that is similar to what I do, and have reach into organizations and experiences that are beyond anything that I've done myself. So it really does give you a chance to broaden your own horizons, but also build your network and understand, if I am doing this and I am finding success in it, how are others doing the same? And then building upon that with those that you meet. I don't always get a chance to do that in my own organization. Like there are people that are just, they have a breadth or a reach into experiences that aren't currently in place at Merkle, or that I don't do in my current role. I was just at a session that was talking about liquid death. And it was this media leader.
Benoit?
Benoit, and he was talking about what he does there. And it's so fun to hear, because I technically, I come from this grouping of people that are kind of nerdy. Like I would be described as, and I happily wear the badge of nerd. Intelligent, is up for debate, but I think that we, as the kind of people that do what I do, tend to feel most at home surrounded by data and like digging through possibilities of what we can do to enhance experiences. Whereas Benoit is at the forefront of the top of the funnel, where people are experiencing a brand for the first time. And that is less what I get to do on a day-to-day, but what I do can still influence that. So if you have great data and you understand that data and you have capabilities around it that can project the meaning and the learnings from that data, then we can optimize those, top of funnel media level experiences. And hearing him speak to it, and then layering it with what he adds, which is this, the question was, how do you keep it cool? And I'm like, I never get to answer questions about how to keep something cool. Like things that I touch are generally not, what would be referred to as cool by most, although I think they're very cool.
I mean, it sounds like you have the opportunity to influence a lot of touch points, especially for your clients and then within your organization as well.
Oh, I do, yes. So when I'm working with clients, traditionally, I'm looked to as a thought leader. So I'm explaining to them, what can you do with what's in place today? Where are your opportunities and gaps? And how can I help you enhance what you have? And I come to them as a trusted resource. So it's not, my role isn't just, how do I grow my business with you? My role is uniquely, how do I, coming from a place of truth and integrity, make recommendations that are going to grow your business. And it's just such an exciting place to be, because I interact with people in a real and I think authentic way. On my own team, I'm growing talent. So I would say, if you were to ask me, Jill, what is the thing you are most passionate about in this world? It would be finding the path to success for the people who I lead. What does that path look like? Whether that is, within my team, outside my team. I have guided many of my team both through successful careers within Merkle, both in our team and then beyond and above my own role, and then certainly outside it as well. So figuring out, what is that sweet spot of what you love, what wakes you up in the morning and makes you excited about work on Sunday night, and then a combination of what stimulates you, what makes your brain really work, and then, what do you find really meaningful? So what, at the end of the day, can you say, I'm proud of this work that I did? And that mixture is so very different for every person.
It is.
And, kind of peeling those layers back and understanding that about every individual is such a fascinating process for me.
It really is, to see what the drivers are. And it's clear you have the hallmarks of a leader in how you shape people on your team and how you support your clients. And there's a lot there that we can unpack. But kudos to you for taking that approach, because you can learn a lot from the people that you work with, like regardless of what their role is. And it's really nice to have that philosophy that, you're an advocate, you can help support people and bring them up. And also a trusted advisor too, like being in that position. Trust is at the core of it. And it seems like this is a theme that has come up a lot, especially in relation to how we're navigating AI. If you're to be strategic about it, it sounds like you're doing the work with your clients to ask those foundational questions so then you can move to the next phase. What sort of points of friction are you coming up against with clients in moving through that? Like when you ask these questions and you're trying to be strategic about the direction they want to go, where's the friction and how are you helping them through it?
There's a lot of friction. I think that we are at an inflection point with AI where it is clear that there is no choice but to embark on this horizon and seek out where it will where it will take us.
Sure.
And it is more confusing all the time what that journey might look like, because it's evolving. The ship is changing as we're on it. And I think that there's fear. I think that there's fear and trepidation around what that future state looks like. I'm often finding myself reading about like the Luddites and how as technology evolves, there are always deterrers. There are those who are frightened and who are concerned about jobs being lost, who are concerned about how the landscape will change for the worst, and ultimately how we preserve the things that are important to us, our relationships, our jobs, our knowledge base, and the value of what that looks like. And I think that you can get very caught up in that, and I'm seeing a lot of people feel that way.
Yes.
I choose not to. I choose to look at it as I have always, which is with optimism and passion. I am excited about what the future looks like. I think that perhaps it is true, and I will acknowledge it is true, that jobs will be lost because there is automation to be found within AI that will make some jobs defunct. But I think many more will be made than lost. I just don't think that we're at the place where we're seeing that completely unfold. No. And as the next 10 years, and I do think it's like, certainly the next 3 years will be tumultuous and exciting, and you can use many adjectives to describe what they might look like. But I think there'll be a horizon that we cross over the next 5 to 10 years that will begin to shake out what the future of work looks like.
Yes.
And how, when we have these systems in place that truly do automate, how that opens up a whole new scope of jobs and capabilities and roles that we haven't even thought of yet. I think that imbuing that confidence and that optimism onto my clients is part of what I am here to do.
Yes.
I remember when the internet was young, and I was very much an early adopter. In like the early 90s, I was on bulletin boards. Yes. And I believed in my heart that this was going to be this opportunity to bring us together as people.
Right.
Because I was connecting with people around subject matter that otherwise I would never have connected.
Yeah.
And we know that the internet has both connected people and also kind of created some friction around that connection, and that's part of life.
Yes.
But I do believe that it has brought more good than bad, and I think we'll see that with this technology as well. I also think that there is a privacy consideration with AI, and that is a piece that I address frequently with my clients. And I think
do you bring that up, or do they?
I bring it up. It's a little bit of both, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
I think that they'll bring it up because as they're thinking through what transformation looks like, so I want to integrate these capabilities into what I do. Can you tell me how can I ensure that this is secure?
Yes.
And who do I need to bring in to consult around that level of security that's necessary for me? Or depending on the vertical, there are certain areas like health and finance where they're just risk adverse, and it's likely that they're not going to move that forward.
No.
My husband works in health, and they're just not touching it at all. They're going to just wait and see. But yeah, I'll bring it as well because I develop tools that utilize AI.
Right.
And I have to vet those through my clients before I can use them with my clients. So I will say, are you comfortable with me using this for this purpose?
Yes.
And then I demonstrate what that looks like. And when I show them the value of what it brings to the table, generally speaking, they are.
Okay, so you're referring to some guardrails, having those in place.
Absolutely. And I think through those. I think that that's not new. I think that when we are sharing data, when we are thinking about what we do to improve customer experience, there's always, at least in the work that I do, data involved. And then there's always some level of privacy, security, InfoSec, et cetera, that we need to be considering. And now with, I mean, what I'm hearing now between AI and what that future state looks like with quantum computing, we're going to have to rethink how we lock down privacy and data in a whole new way. It's really exciting.
We are. And one important point is that to get the value out of these systems, you have to infuse it with so much knowledge about what makes your brand, what makes your team, what makes the way you operate work. And you have to put that into the system. And so that's where there's the potential point of friction because people don't want to be left behind and they also want to get value out of it quickly.
That's absolutely true. That's hard. And depending on what it is you're trying to do with the tools, the more and more data and more accurate data is important.
Right.
That's always been the case. And then trusting to say, will this data be safe where I am placing it?
Yes.
I would say that no data is truly safe. I think that it is an unfortunate truth of our time that there are efforts being made all the time to increase security and efforts being made by bad actors to infiltrate that security. And there will always be a push-pull. I think that we are at a kind of interesting point right now where that is dangerous. I just heard I think it's Vercel is the name of the tool. And I use this, I built an app for my husband and I to use for working out, for like logging our workout. Yeah, it was like a Claude code exercise. I did it in an afternoon. It was just so frustrating. I didn't have what I needed for us to do what we wanted to do and just plug in the data. And I wanted something that we could both share and use independently.
Smart.
And it was easy and fast. And I needed to use Vercel for a component of that. And then I got an email yesterday that my data was compromised through Vercel. So that's part of, I mean, it's part of how it works. I think that having worked at Experian, which is the credit bureau, I'm deeply familiar with data privacy issues and the oversight associated with them.
Yes.
And I'm careful around my credit. And I think that those areas, credit bureaus, banking, have the most work to do to ensure that we're, on the right path for data security.
Yeah. There's so much here, and I just also wanted to give you credit for being an optimist, especially because there's these things to keep in mind, but it's also really good to look at the possibilities because that's something you can take action on. You can take action on the other stuff too, but it might not be as motivating for people who are just kind of getting rolling on this. I wonder, in your position as an advisor, what sort of tipping points are you seeing for people becoming more familiar with how they're using these systems to increase their output and get better ROI? What are you noticing is the tipping point for them? If there's any themes that are coming up as you're working with your clients or even within your team?
I see it more within my team. I will admit that my clients are often in awe of what we're doing at Merkle. And it might be, I work with some retail clients, and I think that there's some oversight and some lockdown in their environments where they may not be able to use the tools as much as they would like. And maybe they don't have the IT background and they're not ready to just kind of explore at the scale that I am. But on my team, I see so much being done. We are tying together various different types of tools into AI to build out interactive platforms that we're able to use internally, or that we're able to share with clients who are comfortable with sharing, with using that. And then we have a team of brilliant strategists. I've always said, and I say this in interviews when I'm interviewing people for my team, for those of us that come onto this onto the strategy team at Merkle. Many of them are not used to this, but you're never going to be the smartest person in the room ever again once you've joined this team. And being around all these people who are so motivating and challenging, and who are like just open and generous with their information, this lends itself to a exciting and boundary pushing environment where we can utilize AI in a way that I think is cutting edge and is very, very exciting. I think that for very specific examples, we are rebuilding the way that we think about the tools, all of the tools that we use, whether it is interactive tools that I mentioned for workshopping or for ideation sessions, or whether it is as simple as cobbling together the history and the data associated with the relationships that we have, both internally and with our clients. I think that we are all in a state of a bit of overwhelm when it comes to the amount of data that we have, like in our inboxes, in our OneNotes, in our office environments. That we are now leveraging Claude to parse through all of that. And I can say things like, I'm working with this client, let me understand a little bit about historically what it is that I've done here and how I've managed this kind of a problem before. Can you take a look at the correspondence? Can you take a look at the Teams messages with my team and see like how are ways that I've solved for this in the past? Where are there blockers or barriers? And then how can I capitalize on all of the things that I've done and learned without missing a piece? There was a movie, I think it was called like Limitless, where he had a photographic memory and didn't forget anything. And I've always thought, man, how would that change my life? This, I think, gets us a step closer to that, where we aren't at the mercy of our day-to-day recollection or at what is the recency piece of things which are in our inbox, but rather there is these capabilities now that will help us aggregate and synthesize. And that, from an aggregate and synthesization perspective, is a game changer. It really is. It is. I think that we wind up reinventing wheels a lot in our lives, and that hopefully this will help to minimize that a little bit too. That's just, and that's a simple use case that I think most people are using, but it cannot be, I think, underscored enough to say how valuable that will become as it becomes more nimble and faster and more encompassing of the different platforms that we use.
It's so true. Yeah, the value is yet to be seen. There's just so much possibility.
It's constantly changing. It's evolving. Like there's new capabilities emerging. There's new models being released like basically every week. I listen to podcasts to try to stay on top of this, and I have to listen to them every day.
I believe it. Yeah, and as humans, we can only ingest so much, and hopefully it's going to be relevant for what you need to use it for.
Yes, and if it's not, we can aggregate and synthesize.
Yeah, I love that. I have one final question for you.
Sure.
If you had to adopt a philosophy of how you're approaching AI, especially as you're working with your clients, with your team this year, and you had to choose between speed, experimentation, and quality, what would you choose? What would you lean into?
Experimentation. I think that speed is there. There's so much speed to be had. I think that quality is incredibly important. But with hallucinations and some of the challenges with these models, quality is still left to the discretion of the individual. But experimentation, as a strategist, there's nothing more important. I just want to build, I want to try, I want to fail all the time. And I want to succeed some of the time. And experimentation is the path forward to do that.
Couldn't be a better way to finish than that. So that's a mindset people can take wherever they go. Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your philosophy and your optimism with me here. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you.
Absolutely a pleasure as well.